Hello, welcome to Intelligent Technology's Acumatica Review. Acumatica is an ERP package that is web-based. It was originally designed as a web-based product, allowing you ease to access the software from anywhere in the world as long as you have an internet connection. Today we are going to be reviewing several key features within Acumatica that are upgrades from GP. Let's start with dashboards. Acumatica provides default dashboards out of the box, but allows you to design your own dashboards or just edit the ones out of the box. On each dashboard, they can be assigned by user, so a clerk could see just the AR clerk dashboard, while a controller could see AR clerks and AP clerk information. In this particular controller dashboard, you can see that we have metrics allowing the controller to be able to see pertinent data to the overall company. And each of the data pieces can then be drilled down on. So if I need to actually see what makes up the 48.7 million in total AR, I can just click on it, and that will bring up the actual supporting data to that metric. As we can see here, this is the list of all of the customers that make up that metric and the amount, the balance, the current, and how much of that is overdue. Notice at the top that because we live in a browser, when we went from the controller screen dashboard to the drill down, it just opened it up in a new browser tab, allowing us to be able to easily switch between the tabs and back and forth between different sections of Acumatica very easily. As you can see, we can also do bar graphs within there, pie charts, line graphs, and here you were seeing income versus expenses over the time period. So it's very dynamic in the sense of you can see all of this different data in different ways, and all of that, as I said, can be designed per company's taste. Generic inquiries are Acumatica's version of SmartLists. They provide not only an ability to write a quick report so I could see it on the screen, but also they provide all of the listing screens that you see within the system. So right now I'm looking at a vendor list, which I got to through payables and then profiles and vendors. Easily from here, look at where that's coming from by looking at this gear, and then I can see edit generic inquiry. When I do that, this screen would pop up, and I then can look at the data sources, the different tables that it's pulling from, what the relationship between those tables are, and then what fields are going to be displayed. The reason why you might come into here is if you wanted to add a field that currently isn't already available in the listing. So here is all the fields going across that currently are visible, but I can also go over here and edit and see all of the fields that are available, but that I'm just not currently displaying. And then I can just click on that, and then that field would then show up on my listing. So if the only time that you would need to go to the generic inquiry would be just if you wanted to add some other field that isn't on the default version coming from Acumatica, which in actuality, I did alter this. I think postal code, maybe. No, I'm sorry. This description, this is the 1099 field. So I added that in the generic inquiry so that we could see which vendors are 1099 and what type of 1099 vendor that particular vendor is. Also within the screen, I can very easily move things around. So if I don't like the order of things, I can just do this, and that changes that screen for my user only, not affecting other users. We can also do filtering. So if I wanted to see just the New York, apply, and then you can see it's now filtered that down so that I'm only seeing the New York vendors. And I can actually do a save filter. So if I do that and then I say NY only, this way I can very easily get back to that filter without having to go in and write the filter, do the filtering again every time. So if it's something that you would tend to use over and over, You can have all records, but then you can very easily just go and click to NC only and not have to rewrite the filtering. Filtering can be multi-level, so it could be state equals NY and city equals Albuquerque and save that. The thing that is different from SmartList to generic inquiries is generic inquiries gives you the capability to update records or delete records. So if we're looking at this vendor screen, and it could be that all of a certain postal code or something like that needs to have the vendor class changed, then I could go and first sort my screen so that I just get the postal code that I need. In other words, showing only the records I want. And then in the generic inquiry, I can go to this entry point and I have these options to do operations with the records. And so I can go through and I can enable mass actions to records, or I can mass record deletions, or I can do a mass record update. So if I check that, then it's going to come up and ask me which field is it that I want to do mass entries on. And so then I get this tab over here, mass update fields. And I go to there and I can then go and say that I want to change, let's say, the class. Then I just save that. And when I go to view the inquiry, if I just go up to the more menu, which is the three dots up here, then you can see that I have update or update all. And then it would ask me for what the value is that I would want to change the vendor class to for all of the records that I've identified. So if you wanted to do just some records, you could go through here and just click the records that you wanted to update, or I could do update all. Again, it only updates those that are currently displayed. So if I filter out records, then I won't update those filtered records. But that's a real powerful way that generic inquiries can give you more capability than SmartList did. Here I'm in AP bill entry, and you can see I've already entered the bill, but I may want to be able to refer back to the document that generated this bill. So if I go up here and click on Files, then I just go to wherever that file is on my local PC, and I can just drag that file up here, do that, and now that file is going to be associated with this particular bill. And even if I go back out to the list of AP bills that are out there, you can see that it designates the document as having something attached to it. So I can actually just click there and then click here, and it brings it right up for me. So this is an easy way to get away from printing PDFs out and then filing them in a file cabinet. You can always just have them right here, and then no matter where you are, whether you're in Europe or another state, you can always just get to the originating document without having to ask somebody to pull it and email it to you or something along those lines. Beyond this capability, you can also actually have Acumatica generate the AP bills for you from an email coming in. And that in general looks like this. So if you can see here, we've got incoming documents, and the email came in and it recognized Intelligent Technologies was the company that sent this, and it's going to accounts payable, first point. It automatically recognizes who that vendor is, and it picks up the amount all from that PDF. So it's doing recognition of all of the pertinent details from the invoice, and then basically allows you to just generate the bill. I can do save and continue, and that would generate the AP bill for me. So a way to automate that whole process of attaching documents and even generating the AP bill in the first place. In Acumatica, searching can be done in two ways. You have a search box on each screen that you are currently on. So this search box here, it relates to the specific list that I'm seeing on the screen. So when I key in some text, let's say I key in ink, you can see that the searching shows up all of the vendor names that have ink in them. And it really also is searching through the legal names. So if legal name is different from the vendor name, it would search those fields as well to come up with stuff. So it's super powerful in that your vendor ID or number doesn't really have to be alphabetical. It could literally be just a number here. And because we can always search by partial keyed in word or name, it would immediately bring things up. And this is true of any screen. So like if I'm in an AP bill and I'm typing in the vendor for that bill, I can just start typing in part of the name and it'll come up and show me matches with how much of whatever I typed so far. So you can really make things nice and easy. And the other thing about that is when we're looking at a vendor, let's say that the vendor name has changed, you can actually go up to the More menu and you can actually change the ID. So in this case where we are using Alpha, if they did change their name, we could change it from Cartridge to Wright Industries. And so we could do Wright as the vendor ID because the name had changed. So going forward, you'll never have these instances where the ID can't be changed. It can be in most cases in the vendor and the master files, certainly, where you can just do a change ID and then it'll actually change that in all of the records now and actually in history. It goes back and changes stuff. The second thing to search is I can actually use the search bar at the top. Now this search is searching menus, it's searching help, and it's searching data. So I could just go in and key in 157. And if I look at transaction and profiles tab, you can actually see that there's an AP bill 000157 for standard hardware. You can also see that there's an AR document with 157 in it, but it allows you to get to that document. Of course, then I can just actually click on that document and it would take me down to the actual document. So super powerful as opposed to having to go into AP bills and search through for something. If I have the number, I can just put it in that search box up there, hit enter, and get to the actual document without going through menus to get there. I don't know if you can also, of course, use just name text like we did when we were searching vendors. So I can type in stand and then again go to transactions. And you can see that there's a vendor called Standard Hardware. There's several documents out here, some of them AP bills, and there's 3 of those. So a quick way to say, oh, I need to see all of the bills for Standard Hardware, I can come in here and do this. Now, obviously, if we get into a lot of history, that might not be the cleanest way to search for a particular document for Standard Hardware. It's probably better to go through payables and sort your list of bills by the vendor, and that would get it too. But you can kind of do a global search up through here.